If you want to retire young, if you want the freedom to wake up without an alarm clock, to live life on your own schedule, travel when you want, spend time with your family without asking for permission, then you need to hear this. Retiring young has almost nothing to do with luck, intelligence, or being born rich. It has everything to do with something far more simple: starting early. Most people never retire early, not because they don't have the ability, but because they never take the first step. They wait, they delay, they keep saying one day, and that phrase, more than anything else, destroys their future. Think about this. People spend months planning a holiday, weeks planning a birthday, hours planning a night out, but they spend almost zero time planning the next 40 years of their life. Instead, they follow the same script everyone else follows. Go to school, get a job, work until you're 65, maybe retire if you're lucky, maybe enjoy life when you're old, tired, and worn out. That's the default plan society hands us, and most people follow it without ever questioning it. Then they wake up at 55 and realize they're exhausted. They're still in debt. They don't have investments. They're terrified of losing their job. They have no idea how they will ever stop working. The truth is uncomfortable. Most people never retire. They simply reach an age where they can't physically work anymore. But here is the part almost nobody talks about. Retiring young is not a fantasy. It is a strategy. A strategy built on decisions, not dreams. A strategy built on consistency, not luck. A strategy built on time, not talent. If you want to retire young, you don't need to win the lottery. You don't need to earn $200,000 a year. You don't need to start a billion-dollar company. All you need is the willingness to start early with whatever you have. Because the most powerful force in wealth building is time, not effort, not income, not intelligence. Time, the difference between someone who retires at 35 and someone who retires at 65 is not that one is smarter or more talented. It's that one understood the value of time and the other didn't. Most people underestimate what they can build in 10 years, and they massively overestimate what they need to start. They say, I'll start saving when I make more. I'll invest when I'm older. I don't have enough right now. But here's the uncomfortable truth. If you can't manage money when you have little, you won't manage it when you have more. Money doesn't change behavior. It amplifies it. The real problem is not income. It's habits. It's mindset. It's discipline. And above all, is procrastination. Procrastination is the silent killer of financial freedom. It steals years quietly, slowly, without you noticing. You think you're waiting for the right moment, but there is no right moment. There is only now. Because every year you delay starting, you're not losing a year of progress. You're losing a decade of compounding. Time is not neutral. It's either working for you or it's working against you. And here is a harsh truth. Most people don't struggle financially because they are stupid or lazy or unlucky. They struggle because they start too late, and once they realize it, it's almost impossible to catch up. Retiring young requires something society has trained you not to do. Think long term. We are addicted to instant results, instant notifications, instant entertainment, instant gratification. But wealth is the opposite. Wealth is slow. Wealth is boring. Wealth is quiet. Wealth is invisible. The loudest people, the ones flexing cars, clothes, vacations, are usually the most financially unstable. The quietest people, the ones investing, stacking assets, building passive income, are usually the ones who retire early. They don't look rich in their 20s. They don't impress people in their 30s. They quietly disappear in their 40s. They don't retire because they were lucky. They retire because they understood the game. And the game is simple. Start early. Stay consistent. Let compounding do the rest. So the real question is not, can you retire young? The real question is, will you give yourself enough time? Because this is the decision point. There are only two types of people in life. The people who wait and the people who start. The people who wait say, I'll start later. I'll invest when I have more. It's not the right time. And they say that every year until time wins. And they lose. The people who start say, it won't be perfect, but I'll begin. I don't have much, but I'll use what I have. I'll improve as I go. And those people, the starters, are the ones who retire young. Because starting small beats waiting big. Every time. Even $50 a week invested today is more powerful than $500 invested 5 years from now. Even 1 month of discipline is more valuable than 1 year of excuses. Even slow progress is better than no progress. If you want to retire young, you don't need certainty. You don't need the perfect plan. You don't need the perfect moment. You just need day one. And today can be day one. Because the truth is simple. The best time to start was 10 years ago. The second best time is right now. So before we talk about strategy, before we talk about investing, before we talk about passive income or compounding, there is one decision you must make. Are you going to wait or are you going to start? Because the day you start is the day your retirement clock begins. And every day you don't, you pay for later. This is the moment, the choice, the turning point. If you want to retire young, begin today. If you want to retire young, the first real step isn't investing. It isn't saving. It isn't passive income or compounding. The first step is knowing exactly how much you need to retire. Because you can't hit a target you can't see. And the reason most people feel lost when it comes to retirement is simple. They are walking in the dark without a destination. Ask the average person how much they need to retire and they will say, a lot. Enough to live comfortably. I don't know, maybe $1 million? There is no plan, just hope. But hope is not a retirement plan. Numbers are. So here is the simple truth. If you want to retire early, you need a clear, specific, measurable number. A financial target that defines the moment you're free. Because once you know the number, everything becomes easier. Your strategy becomes clearer. Your progress becomes visible. Your decisions become intentional. And the fear disappears because the unknown becomes measurable. So let's calculate it. How much money do you need to retire? The formula is simple and is used by investors, financial planners, and early retirees all over the world. Your annual spending x25 affects your retirement number. This is called the 25x rule. Built from the 4% withdrawal rule, the idea that if your investments grow around 7 to 10% per year, you can safely withdraw about 4% yearly and never run out of money. So let's say you want to live on $40,000 a year when you retire. $40,000 x 25. So $1,000 invested. What about $50,000 a year? $50,000, so that costs 25. $250,000. What about $80,000? $80,000 up for x25 sats aim you $2,000. And here's the part that surprises most people. You don't need millions to retire early. You need clarity. Because once you know your number, you suddenly understand something powerful. Retirement is not an age. Retirement is a math equation. Retirement is when your money works harder than you do. As long as your investments are generating enough to pay for your lifestyle, you are retired, whether you're 28, 38, 48, or 68. The problem is that people focus more on how much they earn rather than how much they need. They say, I'll retire when I'm rich. I'll retire when I make more money. But money has no meaning without context. $100,000 is nothing if your lifestyle demands $120,000. $50,000 can feel like freedom if your lifestyle only needs $25,000. Wealth is not about how much you have. It's about your ratio between income, spending, and investment. Someone earning $40,000 a year but living on $20,000 can retire earlier than someone earning $200,000 who spends $190,000. That's not theory, it's reality. This is why knowing your number matters so much. It tells you if you need to adjust your lifestyle or increase your income or build passive income streams. It creates a plan. And once you know your number, you can calculate something even more important. How long it will take to reach it. For example, if your retirement number is $1,000 and you invest whole average $500 every month at 10% average returns, here's what happens. Year 1, $18,000 becomes $19,050. Year 5, $90,000 becomes $120,000. Year 10, $180,000 becomes $315,000. Year 15, $270,000 becomes $650,000. Year 8, $324,000 becomes a $400,000 plus. And that's without any massive salary. That's without owning a business. That's without being lucky. That's just consistency. Early retirement becomes realistic once you understand the math. Not emotional, not overwhelming, not impossible. Just math. But here's the key point. Your retirement number is not fixed. You control it. You can lower your number by lowering your lifestyle. You can speed up the journey by increasing income. You can accelerate growth through compounding. You can stack passive income on top. Every change you make shortens the timeline. The reason most people think early retirement is unrealistic is because they have never seen the numbers written down. Their brain only sees the distance, not the path. But when you calculate your number, you take control back. Imagine the difference. Person A: I hope to retire someday. Person B: I need $1.2 million to retire, and at 20 FATM 500 invested per month, I will hit it in 11.7 years. Who do you think is more likely to retire early? The second person, every time. Because the moment you know your number, money stops being emotional and becomes logical. You stop guessing. You start building. You stop saying someday, and you start saying 2034. And suddenly everything becomes different. Your discipline changes. Your decisions change. Your sacrifices make sense. You stop wasting money trying to look successful, and you start actually becoming successful. Knowing your number gives you direction. Direction gives you momentum. Momentum gives you belief. And belief is the fuel required to stay consistent long enough for compounding to work. So here's the first real assignment if you want to retire young. Figure out how much money you want per year when retired. Multiply it by 25. Write that number somewhere you will see it every day. Put it on your phone wallpaper. Put it on your mirror. Put it in your wallet. Make it real. Make it visible. This is your target. This is your number. This is your freedom. Because now, instead of drifting, you are aiming. Instead of hoping, you are building. Instead of waiting, you are starting. And that changes everything. Because the moment you define the number you need to retire is the moment you begin moving toward it. That's how early retirement begins. Not with dreams, not with luck, not with the perfect plan, but with clarity. If you want to retire young, you must understand one truth that separates those who achieve financial freedom from those who never do. No one retires early with only one source of income. The people who struggle the most financially in life, the people who feel trapped, overwhelmed, and exhausted, they all have one thing in common. They rely on a single paycheck. They have one employer, one salary, one stream of income holding up their entire life. And that's dangerous, because when you depend on one source of income, you're not stable. You're one event away from disaster, one bad quarter, one new manager, one restructuring, one economic shift, one layoff, and your entire life collapses. Your bills don't stop, your rent doesn't stop, your responsibilities don't stop, but your income does. That's why the first real move toward retiring young is building two streams of income. Not 10, not 20, not something extreme and unrealistic. Just two. One active income, one passive income. That combination is where financial momentum begins. It's the turning point. It's the moment you stop surviving and start building. Let's break them down. Active income. Active income is money you earn by trading time for money. Salary, hourly pay, freelancing, business income, anything that requires your effort. Most people stop here. They depend completely on their job. And the moment they lose it, everything disappears. But there's something even worse than that. When you depend on a single job, fear controls your life. You're afraid to speak up. You're afraid to try something new. You're afraid to take risks. You're afraid to change. You're afraid to walk away even from something that destroys you. Because you don't have a backup. And fear is the enemy of progress. That's why building a second income stream is not optional. It's essential. Not because you're greedy, not because you want luxury, but because you want security, freedom, options. Income stream number 2 gives you power. It gives you confidence. It gives you stability. It gives you control. It changes your mindset from, I hope I don't get fired, to, I'll be fine no matter what happens. Now let's talk about the second part. Passive income. Passive income is money that continues to come in whether you work or not. It's income that flows while you sleep, while you rest, while you spend time with the people you love. This is where early retirement is built. Passive income can come from many places: investments, real estate rentals, online businesses, digital products, dividends, royalties, automated services, YouTube content, affiliates. It doesn't have to be big at first. In fact, the beginning is tiny, slow, almost invisible. Your first month you might make $5, the next month $12, then $30, then $80. And your brain will say, this is pointless, this is too small, why am I even doing this? And that's the trap. That is where most people quit, right before everything begins to grow, because they expect passive income to start big, but everything great starts small. Passive income is like compounding, slow, boring, invisible, until one day it isn't. Until one day you wake up, and the money you made while sleeping is more than the money you made while working. That is the moment people retire. Not when they hit a certain age. When their passive income becomes strong enough to support their life, that moment changes everything. Imagine, your job pays your bills. Your passive income grows your future. That means your investment rate doubles. Your retirement timeline accelerates. Compounding speeds up. Stress goes down. Your decisions become powerful instead of desperate. Now you're no longer trapped. You're choosing. The formula. The formula for early retirement is simple. One income for living. One income for investing. One stream to survive. One stream to build freedom. That's it. Two incomes transform your life because they create separation between responsibility and growth. When every dollar you earn is needed just to get by, you stay stuck forever. When every extra dollar can be invested, the clock speeds up. And here is the mindset shift. The second income stream, even if small, is more powerful than the first. Because the first income is survival money. The second income is freedom money. The first keeps you alive. The second builds your future. Even $200 per month in passive income is life-changing if it goes entirely into investments. The $200 compounded over 10, 20 years can grow into hundreds of thousands. That is why people who don't understand wealth say, that's nothing. What's the point? And people who retire early say, that's a seed. If I keep watering it, it will become a forest. Why two streams matter mentally. It's not just financial, it's psychological. Two income streams change how you see yourself. You stop thinking like an employee. You start thinking like an investor. You stop asking permission. You start creating opportunity. You become harder to control, harder to scare, harder to break. Because you know you're building something that belongs to you. Not to a company, not to a boss, not to the economy. And the day your passive income surpasses your bills is the day you retire. Whether you choose to keep working or not. That is real freedom. Not yachts, not private jets, not flexing online. The ability to say, I choose what happens next. That's retirement. The real question. So the question is not, can you build passive income? The real question is, will you? Will you build something small today? Will you start something imperfect? Will you plant seeds instead of waiting for miracles? Because nobody builds wealth by waiting. Nobody retires early by hoping. Nobody becomes free by wishing. People retire early because they start. Even when it's small. Even when it's slow. Even when nobody else understands. If you want to retire young, you must build two streams of income. Not later, not someday, now, today. One stream to live on, one stream to invest and grow. Two incomes, one mission, freedom. Step 3, invest aggressively. Well, if you want to retire young, here is a truth most people don't want to hear. You cannot save your way to early retirement. Saving is important. Saving gives you stability. Saving protects you during emergencies. But saving alone will never make you wealthy. Because money sitting in a bank is slowly dying. Inflation eats it every single year. The purchasing power shrinks. What feels like security today turns into disappointment tomorrow. Saving keeps you safe. Investing sets you free. And if you want to retire young, you must invest. aggressively, consistently, and without hesitation. Wealth doesn't come from what you earn. It comes from what you keep and what you grow. There are people working 2 jobs, grinding 60 hours a week, exhausted, stressed, burnt out, and financially going nowhere. Not because they don't work hard, not because they're lazy, but because they never let their money work for them. You can work for money all your life and still end up with nothing. Or you can make money work for you and retire decades earlier. That is the difference. There are 2 types of money in this world. Money that you work for and money that works for you. Employees live off the first. Investors live off the second. The moment you understand that difference, everything changes. Because here's the truth. If you want to retire young, you must invest a large portion of your income. Much more than the average person thinks is reasonable. The average person invests 3% to 5% of their income. Once in a while, when it's convenient. People who retire early invest 30%, 50% of their income, consistently, even when it's uncomfortable. Early retirement is built on discipline, not feelings. If you wait to invest until it feels easy, you will never invest. The most powerful financial decision you can ever make is deciding that investing comes before lifestyle. The order of priorities must change. Most people live like this: spend more, spend again, save what's left. Invest almost nothing. People who retire early live like this: invest first, save second, spend what's left. They flip the script. They don't ask, can I afford to invest? They ask, how much can I invest and still survive? That mindset changes everything. Investing aggressively isn't about being reckless. It's about choosing long-term freedom over short-term comfort. It's the understanding that every dollar you invest today buys you back time in the future. Money is time. Time is freedom. The more you invest, the sooner you get your life back. Now let's talk about why aggressive investing is so powerful. The reason early investing works so well is because of the one force wealth builders depend on: compounding. Compounding means your money makes more money, and then that money makes more money, and the cycle accelerates. It starts slow, almost invisible, almost pointless. The first few years feel frustrating. You feel like nothing is happening, but then something incredible occurs. The curve bends. It goes from slow to fast, from steady to explosive, from boring to unstoppable. The last 5 years of compounding create more wealth than the first 20. That's why starting early matters more than starting big, and why those who retire early don't rely on luck. They rely on time. Let's look at a simple example. If you invest $1,000 a month with an average return of 10% per year, after 1 year, $12,000 becomes $12,600. After 5 years, $60,000 becomes $78,000. After 10 years, $120,000 becomes $207,000. After 15 years, $180,000 becomes $417,000. After 20 years, $240,000 becomes $756,000. After 25 years, $300,000 becomes $1,140,000. Do you see it? The last 5 years create more wealth than the first 15. This is why people fail financially. They quit during the slow years. They never reach the explosion point. People who retire young don't invest because they feel like it. They invest because they understand what's coming. They invest when the market is up. They invest when the market is down. They invest when the news is scary. They invest when everyone else is panicking. They invest automatically, without emotion, without hesitation. The average person tries to time the market. Wealthy people spend time in the market. The average person buys based on feelings. Wealthy people buy based on rules. The average person waits for the perfect moment. Wealthy people know the perfect moment is now. If you want to retire young, the strategy is simple. Invest consistently. Invest automatically. Invest aggressively. The excuses are always the same. I'll start next month. I'll invest when I make more. I can't afford it right now. But here's the truth. Investing is not about the amount. It's about the habit. It's about the identity. The goal is to become a person who invests, not someone who waits for the perfect time. Because the perfect time never comes. And waiting is the enemy of wealth. Invest $100 if that's all you can. Invest $50. Invest $10. Just invest. Consistency beats intensity. Small investments done every week outperform big investments done once in a while. The people who retire early have one rule above all. Pay yourself first, not after bills, not after entertainment, not after lifestyle. First, every time. Investing aggressively is not comfortable at first. It requires sacrifice. It demands discipline. It forces maturity. But so does working until you're 70, broken, tired, and full of regret. You either sacrifice now or you sacrifice later. And sacrificing later is far more painful. Because the price of not investing is your life, your time, your freedom, your dreams, your health, your family. When you invest aggressively, you're not just buying stocks. You are buying years of freedom. You are buying time with the people you love. You are buying peace. Investing aggressively isn't about money. It's about life. And the sooner you understand that, the sooner you'll be free. Step 4. Automate everything. If you want to retire young, if you want real financial freedom, if you want to build wealth without burning out or constantly fighting with yourself, then you need to understand one of the most powerful principles in finance: automation. Because here's the truth people don't want to accept. You don't lose the wealth game because you're bad with money. You lose because you rely on willpower. And willpower is unreliable. Emotion is unreliable. Motivation is unreliable. Human behavior is unstable. Sometimes you feel discipline, sometimes you don't. Sometimes you make smart decisions. Sometimes you make emotional ones. Automation removes the weakest part of your financial plan. You. Automation makes success the default outcome, not an occasional lucky moment. We live in a world full of distractions. Advertising everywhere. Social pressure everywhere. Endless temptation to spend instead of invest. The system is designed to push you toward consumption, not wealth. And if you depend on discipline alone, you will lose. Not because you're weak, but because the world is built to make you fail financially. The companies trying to take your money are more organized, more strategic, and more focused than you are. They don't rely on emotion. They rely on systems. And if you want to retire early, you must build the same advantage. A financial system that runs automatically, without effort, without decisions, without thinking. Because when you automate your money, you eliminate hesitation. You eliminate excuses. You eliminate inconsistency. You eliminate emotion from the process. Automation forces progress. Let's break it down clearly. The financial order of automation. The way most people handle money is backwards. They get paid. They spend as much as they want. They save whatever tiny amount is left, and they invest almost nothing. And then they wonder why nothing changes. People who retire early do the opposite. The money moves like this, automatically, instantly, without negotiation. Income, investments, income, savings, emergency fund, income, bills, income, spending money. They invest first, they save second. They live on what remains. That order is everything, because it forces your future to come before your comfort. Automation turns wealth building into something that happens without needing your permission every month. Step 5. Let compounding do the heavy lifting. If you want to retire young, you must understand the most powerful force in wealth creation. A force so strong that Albert Einstein supposedly called it the 8th wonder of the world, saying, "Those who understand it earn it. Those who don't pay it." That force is compounding. Compounding is the reason ordinary people with ordinary incomes become wealthy, while people who earn huge salaries can still end up broke. Compounding is the reason some people retire early, while others work until they physically can't anymore. And compounding is the reason time is more valuable than money. Compounding is simple to understand but difficult to believe emotionally. Because in the beginning, it feels like nothing is happening. It feels slow. It feels boring. You invest and invest and invest, and you look at the numbers and think, that's it? This isn't working. I'm barely getting anywhere. And that's where most people quit. Not because compounding doesn't work, but because it doesn't work immediately. Compounding is invisible in the beginning and unstoppable in the end. It starts slow, painfully slow, and then suddenly, it explodes. Imagine planting a seed. For weeks, nothing appears. You water it, care for it, check it every day, and see no progress. Most people give up and walk away, but those who keep watering eventually see a small sprout, and then that sprout becomes a tree. That's compounding. The first 5 years are slow, the next 5 are faster. The 10 after that are life-changing. Wealth is not linear, it is exponential. Let me show you something powerful. If you invest $1,000 every month at a 10% annual return, after 1 year, you've invested $12,000 and it grows to $12,600. After 5 years, you've invested $60,000 and it grows to $78,000. After 10 years, you've invested $120,000 and it grows to $207,000. After 15 years, you've invested $180,000 and it grows to $417,000. After 20 years, you've invested $240,000 and it grows to $756,000. After 25 years, you've invested $300,000 and it grows to $1.34 million. After 30 years, you've invested $360,000 and it grows to $2.26 million. Look at the difference. The first 10 years grow your money by $87,000. The last 10 years grow your money by $1.5 million, not because you worked harder, not because you earned more, not because you invested more, but because you stayed in the game long enough for compounding to work. Most people never retire early because they quit before compounding begins to accelerate. They stop watering the plant right before it breaks through the soil. Compounding rewards patience. Compounding punishes impatience. And here's the emotional challenge. Compounding demands faith during the slow stage. The stage where nothing seems to be working. The stage where your friends are spending money while you're investing. The stage where your progress feels invisible. The stage where the future feels far away. That stage separates everyone. The impatient say, "This is too slow. I'll invest later. I'll enjoy life now and worry about money later." And later never comes. The patient say, "This is the price of freedom. This is the beginning, not the end. I am building something I cannot see yet." And they are the ones who retire early. Compounding is like pushing a snowball at the top of a mountain. In the beginning it's tiny, it barely moves, it's hard to roll, it feels pointless. But as it moves, it grows. It becomes heavier, faster, more powerful, and eventually impossible to stop. That is your wealth if you stay committed. Most people don't fail to build wealth because they lack knowledge. They fail because they lack endurance. They build for 2 years and expect results that take 10. They want exponential results on a linear timeline. They want fireworks, not tiny sparks. But compounding will not reward you until you deserve it, through consistency. And here's the most important mindset shift. Compounding doesn't just grow money, it grows confidence. Once you see your money making money, you feel something powerful. Control, momentum, belief. You stop thinking like someone trying to survive. You start thinking like someone building a future. You stop asking, "Can I do this?" You start asking, "How much faster can I make this grow?" You become unstoppable. Because once your money begins earning more than your job, you are free. That's the day you retire. Not at age 60. Not when society tells you. Not when someone gives you permission. When your money works harder than you do. That's retirement. And here is something most people never hear. The people who retire early don't retire because they stopped working. They retire because they stopped needing to work. They retire because compounding replaced their job, because compounding bought back their time, because compounding paid for their freedom. Every dollar you invest is a worker you hire. At first your team is small, but with time they multiply. And one day you have an army working for you 24 hours a day, every day, even while you sleep. That army never gets tired. It never takes a vacation. It never asks for a raise. It never calls in sick. It works forever. And that is how people retire early. Not with luck, not with genius, but with time. Compounding is proof that wealth is not about intensity. It is about consistency. Small amounts done relentlessly beat large amounts done occasionally. Most people overestimate what they can achieve in 1 year and massively underestimate what they can achieve in 10. If you want to retire young, your mission is simple. Stay in the game long enough for compounding to work. Do not stop. Do not pause. Do not cash out early. Do not sabotage yourself emotionally. Your job is not to get rich fast. Your job is to get rich for sure. Compounding is the engine. Time is the fuel. Discipline is the driver. If you combine those three, freedom is inevitable. Step 6. Increase income, not lifestyle. If you want to retire young, here is one of the most important truths you will ever learn about money. It's not how much you earn that makes you rich. It's what you do when you earn more. Most people believe that if they just earned a higher salary, their financial problems would disappear. They think earning more automatically leads to saving more, investing more, building wealth faster. But that is almost never what happens. Because the moment most people earn more money, they immediately increase their lifestyle. They get a raise, and suddenly they need a newer car. They get a bonus, and suddenly they need designer clothes. They move into a better job, and suddenly they need a bigger apartment. They go from $40,000 a year to $60,000. And within months, they feel just as stressed as before, sometimes even more. This phenomenon is called lifestyle inflation, and it is the silent killer of wealth. Lifestyle inflation is what keeps the middle class trapped forever. It's what keeps people living paycheck to paycheck no matter how high their income goes. It's what forces people to work until they're 65 and still feel like they don't have enough. Most people don't stay broke because they don't earn enough. They stay broke because they spend more every time they earn more. The average person treats income increases like a reason to celebrate. People who retire young treat income increases like fuel for investing. The difference is transformational. Let's look at two examples. Person A earns $50,000 a year, then gets a raise to $60,000, immediately upgrades lifestyle, better car with higher payments, more restaurant dinners, more shopping, more vacations. Result, no extra savings, no extra investing, no financial growth, same stress, same cycle, same life. Person B earns $50,000 a year, gets a raise to $60,000, and keeps living like they make $50,000. Invest the extra $10,000 a year. Result after 10 years at 10% returns. Invested $100,000 growth, $159,000 total, $259,000 from a simple decision. Not from luck, not from genius, not from sacrifice of happiness, just from refusing lifestyle inflation. Early retirement is not built on giant financial decisions. It's built on small choices repeated consistently. Every time you earn more money, you face a choice. Expand your lifestyle or expand your investments. One leads to freedom. The other leads to debt, stress, and being trapped forever. When your income grows, your lifestyle does not need to grow with it. It can stay exactly the same, and that one act of restraint can shave decades off your retirement timeline. Here's the truth many people will never understand. Rich people don't look rich while they're building wealth. They look normal. They live below their means. They avoid unnecessary spending. They don't chase status. They don't try to impress strangers. They choose freedom over appearances. Meanwhile, the people who pretend to be rich burn every dollar they get trying to look successful to people who don't even care. The person driving the expensive car often has less money than the person driving the old Honda. The person flexing designer clothing is often drowning in credit card debt. The person taking luxury vacations may have nothing saved. And the quiet person who doesn't show off? That's the one building wealth. Because here is something powerful. Wealth is what you don't see. You don't see the investments. You don't see the accounts. You don't see the compounding. You don't see the discipline. You only see the spending. And spending is loud. Wealth is silent. Most people choose loud. And people who retire young choose silent. So here is the rule that changes everything. Every time your income increases, keep your lifestyle the same. If you earn a raise, invest the difference. If you start a side hustle, invest the profits. If you earn a bonus, invest it instead of celebrating with it. Let your investment account grow faster than your ego. Because you have two options every time money enters your life. Make rich decisions or make rich appearances. And here is something nobody tells you. Comfort is the enemy of wealth. Every time you upgrade your lifestyle, you raise the minimum amount of money you need to survive. And the more you need, the harder you must work, the more trapped you become, the less freedom you have. Every time your lifestyle increases, your prison walls get taller. But every time your income increases and your lifestyle stays the same, your prison walls fall. And eventually, they disappear. The people who retire early don't get lucky. They don't win the lottery, they don't inherit millions. They simply avoid lifestyle inflation. They learn to say, I want freedom more than I want upgrade. I want peace more than I want status. I want time more than I want things. Because here is the reality. The feeling you get from buying something fades in days. The feeling you get from freedom lasts forever. When you retire young, you don't need alarms. You don't need permission. You don't need to ask for time off. You control your hours. You control your life. You control your time. Nothing compares to that. No car, no watch, no brand, no mansion. Because time is the real luxury. And freedom is the real success. And it is only possible if when your income grows, your lifestyle doesn't. So here is the question you must ask yourself. When you make more money, will you buy comfort today or freedom tomorrow? Because the people who retire young choose freedom. Let them talk. They're speaking from a perspective of short-term thinking. If you follow their advice, you'll follow their outcome. Most people never retire not because they can't, but because they won't. They won't sacrifice now for later. They won't stop buying things they don't need. They won't stop caring about how things look. They won't stop chasing validation. And when they're old, they'll say, I wish I had started earlier. I wish I had invested. I wish I had been smarter with my money. I wish I didn't care what people thought. Regret is the price of choosing excitement over discipline. Silence is the cost of building something meaningful. So here's the truth. If you want to retire early, you have to become boring. Boring with your spending. Boring with your investing. Boring with your habits. Boring with your financial routine. And here is the magic. The more boring your financial life becomes, the more exciting your actual life becomes. Being boring with money means no financial stress, no panic when bills come, no fear of losing your job, no arguing about finances, no debt weighing on your chest, no embarrassment about saying, I can't afford that. Being boring now means being free later. Imagine waking up with no alarm, drinking coffee slowly without rushing, choosing how to spend your day instead of reacting, taking vacations without asking permission, having time with your family without watching the clock, working if you want to, but not because you must. That is exciting. That is priceless. That is freedom. And here's the twist. Eventually, the boring stuff becomes exciting. Watching your investments grow becomes exciting. Seeing your net worth rise becomes exciting. Your progress becomes exciting. Your calm becomes exciting. Your freedom becomes exciting. The world wants you to believe that success is loud. But the truth is, success is quiet. Success is boring. Success is repetitive. Success is ordinary actions done consistently for an extraordinary amount of time. Anyone can be flashy. Anyone can pretend. Anyone can flex. Very few can be disciplined. Very few can be patient. Very few can be silent while building. Those few retire early. So ask yourself honestly, do you want to look rich today or be rich forever? Do you want excitement now or freedom later? Do you want approval or independence? Do you want temporary pleasure or permanent peace? Because you cannot have both. The world tells you to spend. Freedom tells you to save. Society tells you to show off. Wealth tells you to focus. Pride tells you to upgrade. Wisdom tells you to grow quietly. And the day you choose boring is the day your future becomes extraordinary. Step 8. Track your net worth via 1,000 words. If you want to retire young, there is one habit that separates those who succeed financially from those who drift through life without progress. They track their net worth consistently. Because here is a truth most people never discover. What you measure improves. What you ignore declines. You cannot build wealth blindly. You cannot improve what you don't monitor. You cannot fix what you don't understand. You cannot progress without seeing progress. And yet, most people know more about celebrities, sports statistics, or social media drama than they know about their own financial life. Ask the average person, how much debt do you have? What's your net worth right now? How much did you invest last month? How much did your money grow this year? They don't know, not because they're incapable, but because they never look. Avoidance becomes a coping mechanism. Ignoring feels safer than confronting reality. But ignoring your finances doesn't protect you. It destroys you silently. The people who retire early don't guess about their money. They measure it, they track it, they understand every number. Not because they're obsessive, but because they respect reality. Net worth is the scoreboard of your financial life. It tells you the truth. It exposes your progress, or lack of it. It reveals whether your actions are working. Net worth isn't your salary. Net worth isn't your car. Net worth isn't your house. Net worth isn't what you post online. Net worth is simple. What you own minus what you owe. Assets minus liabilities, investments minus debt, cash minus obligations. That number, not your income, not your lifestyle, not your image, determines when you retire. Net worth reveals direction. If it rises over time, you are moving toward freedom. If it stays flat, you are stuck. If it falls, you are sliding backward. And the sooner you see those patterns, the sooner you can correct them. This is why tracking matters. It creates awareness. Awareness creates responsibility. Responsibility creates action. Action creates transformation. Tracking turns your financial life from chaos into control. The first time you calculate your net worth, you might feel embarrassed. You might feel behind. You might feel overwhelmed. That's normal. That's good. That means you're finally facing reality. Pain is not the enemy. Avoidance is. The moment you face the truth, you become powerful. Most people live financially blind, hoping things eventually improve. Hope is not a plan. Hope is not control. Hope is not strategy. Tracking transforms guessing into accuracy. It turns fear into clarity. Here is the power of tracking. When you see your debt decreasing, you become motivated. When you see your investments growing, you become disciplined. When you see progress measured, you want more progress. Tracking becomes fuel. Even small progress becomes addictive. You want to push harder, invest more, save more, build more. You begin competing with your past self. And the best competition in life is not with other people, it's with your previous version. The moment you track your net worth, you stop drifting. You stop playing with money like a child. You stop lying to yourself. You start acting like someone building a future. And here is something powerful. Tracking your net worth reduces stress. Because uncertainty causes anxiety. When you don't know where you stand, everything feels scary. What if something goes wrong? What if I lose my job? What if I can't afford retirement? But when you have numbers, fear weakens. It's no longer, I think I'm doing okay. It becomes, I know exactly where I am, where I'm going, and how fast I'm getting there. Tracking gives control, and control gives peace. Most people think financial peace comes from making more money. That is wrong. Financial peace comes from understanding your money. When everything is measured, everything is manageable. So how do you track net worth effectively? It's simple. Once every month, add up everything you own. Cash, savings, investments, retirement accounts, property value, business value. Then subtract everything you owe. Credit card balances, loans, mortgage, car payments, any other debt. The result is your net worth. Write it down. Save it. Track it every month. At first it might be negative. That's okay. Negative just means you're starting. Every person who is wealthy today once had a net worth of 0. Many started below 0. The number does not define you. It only guides you. Because the goal isn't perfection. The goal is progress. And something extraordinary happens the moment you track consistently. The numbers begin to change faster than you expect. You start seeing patterns. You start improving decisions. You stop wasting money. You start building momentum. Momentum creates acceleration. Acceleration creates transformation. Transformation creates freedom. And here's something powerful. Net worth forces honesty. It exposes whether your lifestyle matches your goals. It reveals whether you are actually building wealth or just pretending. It humbles you. It sharpens you. It holds you accountable. People who retire early do not guess. They track, they measure, they review, they adjust. They treat wealth building like an engineer treats construction. Imagine building a bridge without measurements, never checking progress, never inspecting results. It would collapse. That's what most people do with their financial life. Then they act surprised when everything falls apart. Tracking net worth is the blueprint that stops collapse. And here's the final truth. The moment your investments start rising faster than your spending, you start winning. And the moment your investments start rising faster than your income, you become unstoppable. That's when wealth takes off. That's when freedom approaches. That's when the finish line becomes real. Tracking shows you exactly when that moment is coming. Track your net worth monthly. Watch the number grow. Watch the curve bend. Watch compounding take over. Watch your future arrive faster than you expect. The day you start tracking net worth is the day you stop reacting and start building. That is the day everything changes. The day you become free. There comes a moment in the journey toward retiring young when everything changes. A moment that doesn't feel dramatic or loud or explosive, but quiet, still, and deeply powerful. A moment that doesn't look special to anyone else, but becomes the turning point of your entire life. It's the day you wake up and realize something extraordinary. You don't need to work anymore, not because you're lazy, not because you're quitting, not because you're running away from responsibility, but because you finally built a life where work is a choice, not a requirement. A life where your money works harder than you do. A life where your investments pay you more than your paycheck. A life where your time belongs to you again, fully, completely, and permanently. That day is not the day you stop working. That day is the day you stop worrying. The day you stop checking your bank account with fear. The day you stop counting days until payday. The day you stop hoping nothing goes wrong because you have no safety net. The day you become free. Freedom isn't a beach. Freedom isn't a mansion. Freedom isn't a sports car. Freedom is peace. Freedom is control. Freedom is time. Freedom is waking up and deciding, what do I want to do today? Instead of, what do I have to do today? Freedom is taking a walk at 10 a.m. on a Tuesday while everyone else is rushing. Freedom is going to your kid's school event without asking anyone's permission. Freedom is spending slow mornings with your spouse instead of passing each other in exhaustion. Freedom is reading, creating, building, traveling, resting without guilt. Freedom is silence. And here is the part most people don't understand. Freedom is built long before it is felt. Freedom is built in the years of discipline nobody sees. Freedom is built during the nights you choose work over partying. Freedom is built when you drive the old car instead of upgrading. Freedom is built when you ignore pressure to impress people. Freedom is built when you invest instead of spending. Freedom is built when you stay boring and consistent. Freedom is built quietly and revealed suddenly. Everyone will see the result. Nobody will see the process. The day you become free does not feel like fireworks. It feels like relief, like breathing fully for the first time in your life, like a weight you carried for years finally disappears. It feels like peace, deep peace. But here is the uncomfortable truth. Most people will never reach that day. Not because it's impossible, not because it's unrealistic, but because they choose comfort today over freedom tomorrow. They choose entertainment over education. They choose validation over discipline. They choose impulse over planning. They choose appearances over substance. They choose pleasure over purpose. And they spend their lives trying to look successful instead of becoming successful. Then they wake up at 60 and wonder why they never got ahead. They say, I wish I had started earlier. I wish I hadn't wasted so much time. I wish I had invested. I wish I'd taken money seriously. Regret becomes their retirement. But you are doing something different. You are not waiting. You are not drifting. You are not hoping that someday magically arrives. You are building. You are choosing responsibility over excuses. You are building the version of yourself who won't live with regret. Because the day you start the journey toward early retirement is the day you take back control of your life. And every decision after that accelerates the timeline. Every dollar invested is a vote for your future. Every sacrifice you make is a brick in the path toward freedom. Every bit of discipline is a doorway opening. People will not understand it now. They will judge. They will question. They will criticize. But one day, when you disappear from the workforce, when you stop worrying about money, when you're living calmly while they're still rushing, when they see the peace in your life, they will ask, how did you do it? And you will know the truth. You earned freedom the same way everyone could, but almost nobody does. By starting early, investing consistently, building multiple income streams, avoiding lifestyle inflation, automating your money, tracking your net worth, letting compounding work, being boring, being patient, staying committed. You didn't get lucky. You didn't win. You built. Brick by brick, day by day, dollar by dollar. Choice by choice. Freedom is not random. It is constructed. And when that day arrives, you will understand something powerful. You never wanted to be rich. You wanted to be free. And freedom is priceless. Money is not the goal. Money is the tool. The goal is time. The goal is choice. The goal is peace. The goal is life. A life that belongs to you. And when you reach the day you become free, you will realize something beautiful. It was worth it. Every sacrifice, every boring routine, every disciplined moment, every choice nobody else understood, every year that felt slow, every time you ignored temptation, every investment that felt small. It was all worth it, because now you have what almost no one ever gets. Time, freedom, life. So the question now is simple, and it's the question that will shape everything that happens next. Will you start today? Because the best time to plant a tree was 10 years ago. The second best time is right now. Your future is waiting. Your freedom is waiting. Your new life is waiting. Start now. Start small. Start imperfect. Start afraid. Start uncertain. Just start. Because the day you start is the day you begin walking toward freedom. And the day you refuse to quit is the day you guarantee you will reach it. Your future self is watching you right now, hoping you choose the decision that will change everything. So choose, start, and don't stop.